It's known that the story of the Maccabean revolt, the story associated with Hanukah, is very rarely delved into on a deep level in the Jewish world today, both in Israel and in the diaspora. And one of the reasons for that might be the uncomfortable parallels that clearly exist between the story of what was taking place in Judea at that time and a lot of what's taking place in the state of Israel and the Jewish world today. We essentially see the dominant group within Judean society as the Mityavnim, the Hellenists, who really see the way the world is moving and they want Judea and Jerusalem to move with it. They want Jerusalem, they want Judea to be part of the civilized, enlightened, progressive Greek world. And the emperor of the Seleucid Greek Empire, Antiochus IV, very much wants to see his power spread and his empire grow, and therefore there's clearly a lot of overlap between the interests of Antiochus and the Judean ruling class at the time. Now, the Maccabeim represent a group that are loyal to the teachings and traditions and folkways of our people, and ultimately they fight for those values against the Hellenists and against the Seleucid Greek military here. And their victory is what we celebrate, specifically their victory in liberating Jerusalem and rededicating the temple. That's what we celebrate on Hanukah. So the lessons pulled out from that story might be uncomfortable for a lot of the Jewish world today. Now, if we go a little bit deeper and we understand that that the Hellenists at that time and even certain forces within Israeli society today, especially our ruling class that wants Israel to be part of the West, that this is actually not necessarily the bad guy in Jewish history, but rather an important force in the collective identity of Israel, a force that we could identify as the tribal force of Yosef, right? Throughout history, Yosef has been one of the leadership tribes in Israel. And Yosef is very good at managing the material world, building economies, building armies, building states, but is also very much focused on Israel's place within the international community. What do we share in common with the other nations of the world, specifically the dominant civilization of any given period? In the time of Yosef HaTzadik, this was Egypt. In the time of the Maccabeim and the Mityavnim, this was Greece. And in our time, it's Western civilization. Now, another leadership tribe within Israel is the tribe of Yehuda. And Yehuda, unlike Yosef, is much more focused on what's unique about us, what's different about Israel, our Torah, Jerusalem, our prophecy, our destiny, our unique identity. And throughout history, we see many expressions of this deep tension between Yosef and Yehuda. And if we want a contemporary example, we can look at any major social or political issue that arises in Israel. Someone from Yosef, somebody who's an expression of the tribal force of Yosef, might look at that social or political issue through the lens of what's politically correct in the Western world today. Whereas somebody who's an expression of the force of Yehuda would likely look at that same issue from the perspective of what our ancestors would say, what the heroes of our Tanakh would do in such a situation, how the Jewish people have looked at this issue throughout time. And I think often the Yosef Jews look at the Yehuda Jews as backwards and as dangerously out of touch with the modern world. And I think the Yehuda Jews look at the Yosef Jews as weak Jews, too influenced by other civilizations and outside values. But ultimately, I think we need to understand that both of these tribal forces are very important. Until now, the state of Israel has been dominated and driven by the tribe of Yosef. And that might be one of the reasons why we've been as materially successful as we've been until now. In fact, this is what the Gaon of Vilna refers to as the process of Mashiach ben Yosef, when the talents and skills and strengths of Yosef are really directed towards Jewish liberation. towards achieving our people's goals. But now that Zionism, the movement of Mashiach ben Yosef, has been successful, it's time that we fill the vessels created by Yosef with content that's unique to Yehuda. It's time that we actually diversify, what the state of Israel is going to look like and what we're going to be, and allow other tribes to put their hands on the steering wheel a little bit. It's okay for Yosef we need Yosef. Yosef is a very important tribe, one of the most important of our tribes, but Yosef can't do it alone. And now we're at a point in history where the people of Israel require the other tribal forces to really step up and take real leadership roles. And Yosef is going to have to accept that and step back and make space for others to play their roles as well.